One more. Hello, everyone who's watching this webinar. Welcome. I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS, and I'm joined today with Paul Barnaby, the Managing Director of Beyond Accounting Technologies and the representative for Plan Guru's software. How are you, Paul?
Oh, I'm indeed well, Peter. Thank you.
That's good. Well, we're going to give our viewers an overview of the financial forecasting package, which obviously includes the Plan Guru software. So I hope that that will go quite well.
Yes, I'm indeed pleased to be part of that three-way offering, Peter, from Panguru itself, based in the US, and my company here in Queensland, and of course yours as well.
Yes, okay. And we are also doing live streams with this recording. So anyone who is watching us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and YouTube, welcome. And you might find something about the accounting industry. And if you are an accountant, I hope you find this very interesting. We'd love to hear from you, or a bookkeeper. So we'll just take this back, Paul, and we'll get started. Be the expert, the virtual chief financial officer. This is what this package allows you to do. ESS BIZTOOLS has a total of 4 packages, and this is the 4th one. This is the top of the tree because it includes the Plan Guru software, and Paul will give you an overview shortly of what's included in Plan Guru and the special training that he can give you as to how you can really utilize this software to become the key advisor to your clients. So I think it means a lot more than just preparing quarterly or even monthly financial accounts. I asked someone from the outsourcing industry a couple of weeks ago, what do accountants do in Australia who have outsourced a significant amount of their work? And he indicated, oh, some of them are preparing quarterly accounts. And I said, do you think that's enough? He said, no. And I don't think it's enough either. If you've got the spare resources, surely you can supply a proper regime of advisory services to your clients, which we're going to take you through today. So this is what we're referring to when we say real accounting services delivered by accounting experts, not just a quarterly set of accounts, because your clients need key performance indicators and business metrics. That's what the big end of town really use to run businesses. And weekly, we need performance and profitability estimates. And once again, that is what the big end of town utilize. And I think you should be preparing that type of information for your clients. Monthly, of course, we get the financial reports and a comparison to budget estimates. But I know that many SMEs, thousands of SMEs around Australia, do not receive anything like this type of reporting. But if we want to help clients to survive and strive, especially through the conditions applicable in 2024, I think that's the type of services we need to introduce. So we've incorporated within ESS BIZTOOLS the 52-week business enhancement system, which is based on the most outstanding accountant that Plan Guru identified in the United States. And we asked him what he did, and we've implemented a similar system. Big businesses organize themselves, I believe, as a series of small businesses. I found that out because I joined a big business as an area accountant, and within a couple of years, I was in the hot seat. I was the chief financial officer and company secretary of a listed public company. And what our organization did, we had 13 major regions in the 3 eastern states. Each region had an area manager, an area accountant, and clerical staff. At head office, we had supervisory staff, of course, and I had a team of people. But it was all built around the daily, weekly, monthly reporting. And then again, the next month, the daily, weekly, monthly. That's the type of system that I think, and I think Paul does also. I know Paul does, and he'll tell you about that in a moment. To do that, you need budgets and cash flow forecasts and projected balance sheets, which Paul will refer to shortly. So this is real time management type systems. I think we need to give our SME clients the ability to fix things when they go wrong, not to tell them in 12 months' time, oh, you had a bit of a hiccup during the year, your gross profit percentage was down 11%, and that cost you a couple $100,000 in your overall profitability. It's too late then. It needs to be fixed a couple of days after it occurred. And that's what this 52-week business enhancement system, the 3 components, daily, weekly, monthly, is so important to help your clients. So we obtain daily, weekly overview of financial assistance, and all of this will allow your clients that wish to scale up, to go from a $500,000 turnover to $2.5 million in 3 years, to go from $4 million to $10 million in 3 years. Whatever they want to do, you will need these type of resources to assist them if you are going to be their virtual chief financial officer. So going back to the beginning of this, it starts with the business due diligence review. Why? Because I know from my own experience, both as a partner, senior partner of an accounting firm, and having been chief financial officer, company secretary of a listed company, I knew a lot more about my entity in my public company role than what I knew about key clients as a chartered accountant service provider. You think about it. What do you really need to know about your client if you're just doing an annual set of accounts and a tax return? You don't need to know how good their internal control is, and you probably never ask. Indeed, I've been hired as a consultant for various accountants around Queensland, Northern Territory, and New South Wales. And at times I've turned up and said, okay, we'll go and see this client you want me to give you some advice on. So we'll go to their premises tomorrow morning. Can you set the appointment up for whenever they start? So if they start at 7 a.m., we'll be there. If it's 8 a.m., we'll be there. And I get a strange look at times. And I say, you do know where their business premises are, don't you? And I've had accountants look me in the eye and say, we don't, Peter. How long have they been your client? 3 years? I don't think that's good enough, to be honest. I think if we're going to offer virtual chief financial officer services, we've got to understand the environment in which our clients operate, the good and the bad. So we want you to know 1 inch wide, 1 mile deep, how this business operates, the good parts and the bad parts. You need to identify where the potential internal control issues are, because you're acting as the virtual CFO. I can assure you that if you were in a public company environment and you were the CFO and there was internal control problems, I know who would be having to submit the answers, and that would be you. So there's a lot more to your client's affairs. What you want to know is how the business operates, how the internal control system, how does the purchasing done, who authorizes payments for purchases, who checks the stock, Who are the key suppliers? Where are they? If they're overseas, has your client thought about what might happen if supply difficulties? We've got 2 major wars going on in the world at present, and all sorts of skirmishes happening in other parts of the world. What's that do to the supply chain? Especially if those supplies are vital for your clients' businesses. Where can they get alternative supplies from? This is the sort of thinking that needs to go into this. We need to get out of the narrow, well, all we're really here to do is to prepare a tax return. We're looking at a lot broader aspect now. Who do they sell to? How do they go about determining whether your client's got a good customer or they're just getting someone else's problem because they don't pay their debts or they whinge about everything? We need the key performance indicators and the business metrics, because that is what the line management people utilize. I found that out in the meat industry. They need figures, they want to know, but they need to understand them, and they need to be getting them on whenever they want them, the time. In the meat industry, it was Smoko, the morning Smoko. They needed the statistics there for yesterday's processing so that they could sit and analyze it as they had a cup of coffee or tea or sandwich or whatever. So the benefits are that you will be the key advisor to them. You will be supplying the accounting discipline, because I think a business requires 2 disciplines, at least, the management side and the accounting side. Now, there's a whole range of others, of course, marketing, sales, purchasing, production. But the 2 key ones, as I see it, are the management of the business and the accounting side of it. A lot of your SMEs have not got the accounting side if you're only providing them, or you were only providing them with an annual set of accounts and a tax return. We need to be going a lot deeper if we're going to help them. So the benefits are that they will receive a couple of days after the end of a week. In our case, these results had to be prepared by Tuesday afternoon. They were analysed and reported to head office, where my team analysed them, and I had a sandwich with the CEO each Wednesday. All he was interested in was the entities, we had 400 of the different entities, the ones that did not achieve the budget targets. He wouldn't look at the rest. He'd only look at them. Thankfully, there was only never half a dozen to 10 of them, because that would be his afternoon on a Wednesday, contacting those area managers, talking it through and deciding what was going to be done. What was the problem? It might have been something that the management in the local area couldn't do much about, but it might have been something that they were very much in the firing line for. But the real benefit of all that, Paul, was that they got it rectified in the next day or 2. Now, when my kids were going to uni, I got to know the guy that was there. They both worked at Woolworths, and their boss, the general manager of a large store that they worked at, he told me he had 42 departments in Woolworths. And he had results Monday afternoon, Monday evening, for him to have discussions on Monday afternoon and Tuesday morning with 42 departmental heads in his Woolworths store. And again, he was only looking at the ones that varied from budget, but he told me he met them all, had a quick discussion with them. I know he told me Coles did the same thing. I've done consulting work for IGA stores. I know they do exactly the same thing. So these key big businesses know week by week what their results were. And at the end of the month, the monthlies are really proving that the weeklies were accurate. So it can be done. And it gives great satisfaction to the owner of the business, or the CEO, or the area manager, that these figures are getting proven each month by the financial accounts. So the benefits, I've just summarized all those. It's real accounting in operation, and it goes back on again the next month. Sure, there's a tax return to be done. That's a byproduct of all this at the end of the 12-month period when the tax returns are due. I've told you the benefits, so I'm not going to go back through that. So what we can do in all this, that's that side of the story, but you need a business plan. We're talking about serious attempts to help these clients run satisfying businesses. So the system includes all the material you need to guide you on the preparation of a business plan. And then we come into predictive financial reports. Now, this is Paul Barnaby's area. So I'm now going to switch across and let Paul take over and talk to you about this exciting concept of predictive financial reports, which we utilize the Plan Guru software to produce. So, Paul,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you, Peter. And I'll just get my slideshow up. And then I'll share my screen. You'll need to enable me to share screen, Peter, please.
Oh, I thought I had.
Just let me know when you've done that and I'll be ready to go.
Yep.
All good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on there, Paul.
All right. Okay. Thanks very much, Peter. That's a really good summary of what I see are the actual shortcomings of a lot of the services provided by the public accounting profession these days. They're too focused on the history, because that's what they're existing for in the first place, filling in those government forms to keep the client out of trouble. And the public accounting profession is worth far more than that, as I found out myself. And so what Peter's talking about, and he used the term during the presentation, that virtual CFO. We haven't got time to be the total CFO on hand every minute of the day and of the year, as large companies are able to do. But if we can be the virtual CFO and provide a good number of those services, then our clients will actually just love us for it. So what we've done with the consortium that we put together, and that consortium consists of Peter's company, ESS BIZTOOLS, Plan Guru, which is a company registered in the US, and my company, Beyond Accounting Technologies. We've actually formed what's called the Academy of CPAs. Now that, I know, sounds a bit droll, but it stands for Certified Predictive Accountant. And that's my role in this three-way consortium, is to help you become that certified predictive accountant. And how do we do that? What is predictive accounting? Predictive accounting is nothing more or less than doing for the future what we're all trained to do for the historic reporting. So future revenue statements, future balance sheets, but future cash flows and balance sheets as well as the P&L, all in traditionally accepted reporting formats. And why do we do it? Well, it's quite obvious after what Peter was talking about. If we can produce these weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually KPIs, that's going to allow our clients to not only enable faster strategic decisions, but in some cases, strategic decisions themselves that wouldn't have been available previously because of a lack of information about the client's own business. And that's what that came home to me a number of times when I was in practice, because we're unlocking greater profits, improving their cash flow, but most importantly, achieving their goals and targets. How do we do it? We do it by using the key drivers of revenue, costs, capital items, everything in the business, and translating these to the predicted financial statement. So what makes me passionate about predictive accounting? Well, just a little bit about me and you'll understand why. I'm a chartered accountant. I was 16 years managing partner of a second-tier firm in Wellington, New Zealand. And while I was there, I experienced what's known in modern parlance as that light bulb moment. And when the light bulb went off, my life changed forever, because I realized that it was time for me to take that leap off into virtual CFO services. And it is a leap. It's not a quiet little sideways sidle. It's a very, very radical change. And after that, I have had 20 years plus of frontline experience implementing for clients, predictive accounting, financial analysis and strategic planning, and of course, budgeting and forecasting. I've mentioned my company. I'm the CEO of Beyond Accounting Technologies, and that's where I deliver the services, including the regional integration consultant role for Asia Pacific for Plan Guru. Only the Americans could come up with a fancy title like regional integration consultant. I've never had such a great name. But what it means is looking after their affairs down here, doing the training, which includes the predictive accounting and includes the virtual CFO. So I've worked with many hundreds of accountants, CFOs, and business executives, and I see my role as making accountants and CFOs look like superstars. That's where I see my responsibility. So how do you take these CFO services to your clients? Well, Peter's been talking about the sort of things that you need to do, the sort of KPIs that you need to find out, and he used that terminology, an inch wide and a mile deep. And of course, the opposite of that is a mile wide and an inch deep. And that's what Adam Hale, our friend in the USA, talks about. And so often in public practice, we only have that very narrow, very shallow understanding of our client's business, but a very broad understanding. And broad understanding is needed, but we need more than that. We need that deep understanding as well. So I've already said it is a giant leap. And what do we do? Well, here's a biggie. You're going to delegate all your compliance and tax work. What? You're saying? How can we do that? Well, that's the first thing you've got to start thinking about. How could you delegate? I'm not talking for the firm. I'm talking about for you personally. How can you make sure that your staff are doing all the compliance and tax work that you've been doing to free you up to be a virtual CFO for your client? And the best way to do it is to tell them what they're going to receive. And that's what I did. I went out to my key clients after I'd arranged the delegation, and I told them it's all going to be a new thing. If you don't want these services, that's fine. Let's renegotiate what you're going to receive. But budget and cash flow forecasts were mandatory. If they didn't want to do it, they were dealing with the wrong accounting firm. And I lost a few clients as a result of that. Very pleased to do so because it freed up even more space for me to take extra services to the clients that did realise the value of those services. And Peter referred to this, you've got to learn what makes your client's business work. If you don't know what makes it succeed, how can you help them? And then once you've got that armament, as it were, take that leap and start delivering those services. Anyway, there are some prerequisites other than the delivery of or the delegation of the tax and that stuff. You've got to discover and quantify not only what switches your client on, but what are their goals? What would they like? When I did some surveys across my practice, I found that 80% of my self-employed clients weren't making as much as the salary that they would if they went out and got a job. And that was a very, very sobering statistic to come up with. So I was able to go to those clients and say, have you got a goal? And most of them said, yeah, we want to increase our profit, because they weren't reaching even a sensible salary. You've got to ensure that you've got all the appropriate tools, including purpose-built software. Now, the profession's pretty good at doing that, but in the budgeting and forecasting area, they're not. And I'll talk about that in more detail in a few moments. Here is another big one, though. You've got to involve your client with each step. You can't be a virtual CFO for your clients without them being involved. Because if you do it for the company without the involvement of the key management, they won't they won't understand it. They won't see it. They won't understand it. You've got to involve them with each step. And again, on your side, in terms of resources, you've got to make certain that there's some team members with you that can assist. And I'm not just talking about building a huge team on day one, just covering things like your own days off. If you need a few days off, who's going to look after those phone calls? You've got to be able to provide that sort of service. And here's the other one: make your data preparation automated as much as you can, because the more it is, and even today, we're starting to see AI being accepted very, very quickly. I was talking to my daughter, who's a senior executive in a multinational at the moment, and they've got AI in their company that they've designed and built. It's just amazing how quickly, in technology terms, the world is changing. So what is the key content of the service that you're going to deliver to your clients in terms of those CFO services? And Peter referred to this: the business plan, including those predictive accounting reports, the budgets, the cash flows, the KPIs, the dashboards. The monthly comparison, the variance report, absolutely essential, because there's no point in preparing the budget and then leaving your client to think about what he needs to talk to you about over the next 12 months. You've got to have those monthly comparisons and a monthly review meeting, preferably at the client's premises. And Peter was talking about going to do the reviews at 7 o'clock in the morning. Meeting at your client's premises is extremely important. So many accountants don't even think about doing it, and the clients love it, because they get to show off what they do to you, who they regard as a friend as well as an advisor. And here's the other big one that most accounting people trying to do CFO services forget. That monthly review meeting leads on to updating strategies, and that leads on to an updated forecast. And giving that back to the client for maybe a new number to compare. So you've got to have budget, you've got to have actual, and you've got to have forecast. To my embarrassment, a lot of accountants, and I'm not just talking in the public accounting profession, but even in Congress, don't know the difference between a budget and a forecast. A budget is the plan that you put together at the beginning of each year. You file away and you never touch, because that's the budget. And the forecast is the reports that come forward and are updated with actuals and updated with expectations from the original budget. And there again, this is where you share those reports and then meet again, maybe. If there's a substantial change, you meet again with the client. So I just want to touch on a few minutes. I think we're okay for time, Peter.
Yes, yep.
On what are the budgeting methodologies? Because I've been involved in budgeting for quite a long time, and the first time I ever had a switched on bank manager, I was actually not in practice. I was working for a large property and a developer a company, and the bank manager rang me one day and he said, thank you very much, you've sent down the budget. But he said, it's just your income statement. Where's the balance sheet? And my stomach turned over 3 times as I started to realise what would be involved in producing a predicted balance sheet. I did it and learned very, very quickly that you have to have those drivers. You can't produce a balance sheet unless you say, how quickly are our customers going to pay us? When are we going to be expected to pay our suppliers? Those are key drivers. So traditional budgeting, where we based it on last year and just pushed it forward to next year, is a waste of time in my view.
Yeah.
And zero-based budgeting, where we cancel absolutely all data sources and say we're going to start from scratch, very complicated and very time-consuming. Great if you've got the time to do it, but this is why this key driver budgeting is so good, because if we do a line-by-line analysis of sales quantities, the investment in inventory, what drives our expenses, what's our salary, wages and salaries going to be, that's the way to do it. If you work on key drivers, that's when you'll produce decent budgets and cash flow forecasts. Okay, so I referred to tools before. You need a budget. What do? You reach for Excel, right? Wrong. You can these days get a lot of stuff done with Excel or Google Sheets, and I certainly wouldn't throw them away. You need them in your toolbox, but they were never built for predictive accounting. So if somebody asked you if you'd recommend Excel in lieu of Xero or Mile or QuickBooks, would you say yes? No, of course you wouldn't. And so why would you use it for predictive accounting? And that's my usual question of people who are doing budgets. Don't do it in Excel because it's a hiding to nowhere. Sorry to be so blunt about it, but I've seen so many bad budgets and cash flows done in Excel that are actually wrong, numerically wrong, and the author didn't even know. That's scary. And on that topic, there's a fellow called Ray Panko. He's the original spreadsheet nerd. He's at the University of Hawaii. Look him up and you can look at his research. But he has discovered that 91% of published spreadsheets have got errors in them. 91%. Don't tell that to your PI underwriter. There is a choice of applications out there. Plan Guru is not the only one, but I consistently review what's out there and I choose the best for the technical aspects of it compared to the investment value, and Plan Guru wins every time. Okay, so I haven't got time today to take you through Plan Guru in detail, but there's just a sample of an income statement, month by month, year totals, showing line by line and subtotals, of course. There's a example of a balance sheet. In this case, we're on the forecast, but you can see you've got the ability within Plan Guru to look at actuals, look at budget, and look at forecast. There are three different forms of data, obviously, but you can see there that the cash expected to be there in January 24, 1,099. If we go now to the cash flow report, that's the balance that's here down at the bottom of the cash flow report, and it divides it up as it should do into operating activities, investment activities, and financing activities. So, Peter, that's where I'm going to stop today. It's just a bit of a glimpse of what's involved in the Plan Guru side of things, the detailed budget, revenue statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. I've got some other slides if there's other aspects that you would like me to cover, such as the more detail of the training. But what I thought I'd do is just pause it there, let you come back in on the content of the financial forecasting package. All of what I've been talking about, of course, is included, including that certification as a certified predictive accountant, if that's what you'd like to do.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. And we'll just...
You want me to stop the screen share? I can stop the share. There we go.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So Paul's talked about the predictive financial reports, very important. And those of you who have never used the key drivers approach will find it quite enlightening, I think. I've seen financial forecasts prepared where when you check it out and calculate what the debtor's days outstanding, for argument's sake, are, it's amazing how often they're shown as 30 days. And if you grab the financials, the last ones, and do a calculation, surprise, surprise, it might be sitting on 50 days. And this is the mistake that Paul was talking about. Big wonders can be made. The same sort of problems can occur with payments to suppliers. Some of our clients are either on cash or 7 days or 14 days with their suppliers, and they've got to pay them like that, or they won't get that supply that they need. Yet, when you look at some of the budgets that get prepared at times, you'll find everyone's getting paid on a 30-day basis. Well, that's not practical. if you've got a supplier that's insisting on cash on delivery. And I think these sort of trading terms, which seemed to ease off a bit a few years ago, are going to become far more prevalent during the remainder of this year and next year. We now got strong rumours about 3 more interest rate rises in Australia. Inflation's up. There's a 34% increase in business failures this financial year. The big end of town will be watching that, the suppliers, and they will be making things tougher for the clients that most of us service, which are in the small, medium-sized marketplace, I assume. So just a comment there, Paul, and we'll just move ahead. So we've talked about the daily report, so we move on. We also have within the system a complete debtors system to help you to advise your clients on how to keep debtors days reduced. The rolling forecast Paul just mentioned, very important, and that monthly financial report. Hopefully your partner or senior manager for this client will be on the board of advice or going to the board of directors meetings if the client has them. And we do talk a fair bit about boards of advice in this particular product package because they're becoming far more popular. There's too many companies out there who've only got one director. It's a very lonely lifestyle for those people who are trying to run a business. They need extra support. The system builds in periodic work. One of the concepts that I've included in ESS BizTools is strategic reviews. My strong mate, Andrew Geddes, one of the joint founders of Financial Management Research Centre at the University of New England 40 years ago. And when they formed that centre, they set out to achieve what we're still talking about, and that is to have practicing accountants being a virtual CFO. They never quite used those words then, but that's what they meant, a virtual in-house advisor. And that was 40 years ago. They'd seen the light, but it's taken a long time to get it fully charged. But one of the jobs that Andrew likes doing, and a number of our ESS BizTools clients are doing it because they were also utilising Andrew Geddes' services, and that's a strategic review. So even though you've got a business plan, what they do is have a 1 to 2 day, 1.5, I meant to say, 1.5 to 2 day get together of their team, always at some different location where they can have a nice dinner. And the leadership team members are required to submit items for discussion, and then they really talk it through. So it could become part of the rolling forecast change. It might get, all the information might get incorporated into the business plan update, but it's bringing that team together. And they all need someone to facilitate these things. That's you. You're the partner in the accounting firm or the senior manager, so you can do that. There's various chief financial officer services programs that we've included to do with funding the business loans, and also you've got full details on the capital raising, Section 708 of the Corporations Act, crowdsource funding, equity raising, early stage innovation company, and venture capital raising. Because these clients, normally they're growing, they're scaling up. And what do you need when you're scaling up? You need money. And they don't have to go and pledge their mother-in-law's apartment anymore to borrow the money. They can raise capital direct from the public, and that's now part of the scene in Australia. We've got the Chief Financial Officer Services. Another important role, Paul, I think, is being the listener to the CEO. I think I spent 2 hours a day when I was a CFO listening to the CEOs, because he would, I don't know how many hours he slept a night, but I'm sure he was awake for quite a number of them. Because each morning he'd say, "Hey, Pete, why don't we do this? Can we change this?" Now, we were a meat company, so we were producing meat going all around the world, but the CEO would continually get ideas. A lot of it was prompted, of course, on what had happened in America or Japan or even Russia overnight, England, with prices. You know, suddenly someone's had a problem somewhere else in the world, can't supply a market, the price has gone up 20 cents a kilo. What's it mean? What can we do? Your clients need that advice. It's not only the CEOs of public companies that lay awake at 3 a.m. and dream up ideas, but your clients don't think they can contact when you're only doing tax returns for them. They
Mm.
need to know that you're in tune with the day-to-day things. You knew what happened there yesterday because you got the daily report. And corporate governance mentoring. These companies are growing, so you need to make sure that the team understand what a board of directors role is, and more particularly if they have a board of advice, what their role is. They've got no corporate standing, but they've got a role in an organization if the CEO wants to appoint a board of advice.
I'll come in there, Peter, and say yes. That was my exact experience too. Prior to going into practice, I was a CFO of a large company in New Zealand, and I would spend all of 2 hours a day in the CEO's office, and sometimes another couple of hours in the COO's office. And I used to sometimes have to say, "Hey guys, let me go. I've got to do this, 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 and this, and this, and this," because that's exactly what I was doing. I was mentoring those guys on the financial aspect of their particular roles. Very, very important.
Yes, and what I also discovered, we don't want to scare these accountants, Paul. But
No.
what I also discovered, if a problem come in that the CEO couldn't put it to marketing, or in our industry livestock purchasing, because that uh, senior officer was also the director of the public company, so he was the number 2 man in the organisation. If it couldn't go to either of them, it come to me,
Yeah.
irrespective of what it was,
Mm.
because he knew I'd sort it out. And that's the sort of support that your clients need. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things coming across their table,
Mm.
and
Mm.
really, they cannot afford the time. They're the ideas people. They're the thinkers. They need to have quality time to think things through, to lead
Mm.
their businesses.
Yep.
I've got up there now risk management. We look at that, personal property, government grants. There's still a lot of government grants. There's hundreds of them, about 600
Mm.
at least in Australia.
Good.
The key ones, though, are research and development. Uh, over $5 billion a year gets spent, according to Oz Industry, on research and development, and about 70% of it is for companies with turnovers under $20 million, because they're the special class. And the Small Business Ombudsman claims that about 73% of that expenditure is by very small companies. Do you give them advice?
Mm.
Because I talk to a lot of accountants every year, and not too many people tell me they do research and development. We have a
Mm.
full system in our package so that you can take control of that important area.
Mm.
Export market development grant. And remember, the states and territories also have grants, and so do some local government organisations. I note primarily in Victoria, Western Australia, and there's a few in New South Wales, I understand. There might be others, but internal control reviews, so that what you become in all this, and Paul didn't quite use this terminology, but I know he's used it before, is the financial storyteller.
Mm.
Because with the predictive accounting reports, you've got budgets, cash flow forecasts, but then I think one of the most important documents that we all overlook, and that's the projected balance sheet. That allows you to sit down then and tell the story to your client. If you do this and this achieved, this is what your business is going to look like in 3 or 5 years' time, or even longer if you're
Mm.
really game to want to go further. But it allows them to look at it and say, oh, okay, the sweat and toil might be worthwhile if that's the position we're going to end up in
Mm.
in the future. We also have buying a business, selling a business. These are all the other modules that are part of this succession planning, also very important. And that includes exit strategies. I was talking to someone today, and he said there's not enough emphasis on advising some of these larger SMEs, or indeed any SME, I said to him, about their exit strategy.
Mm.
Okay, we've talked about Plan Guru. Paul didn't mention this. But you get a license to use with up to 10 clients. Normally that's only 3, but we negotiated the special deal. And we'll be presenting a Q&A webinar on the financial forecasting package in about 10 days' time. We'll be circulating when that's on. Paul will be here, and he'll be able to go through in a lot more detail the practicalities of how all these systems work. So okay. So what we want to tell you now is what all this is going to cost. It's not a free lunch.
Not free, no.
No. Okay, so the 12 months upfront subscription is $10,560, exclusive of GST. You get everything we've talked about today, including the Plan Guru software for 12 months to use on up to 10 clients.
And that's unlimited licenses, if I could just butt in there, Peter. It's 10 clients, but you could have all of your staff, if you wish, equipped with the license, with the software. Whether they're using it or not's another matter, and we would cover that off in the training as to who should use it. But yeah,
okay,
thanks, Paul. 10 clients, but unlimited licenses.
Unlimited license. That's great. And Paul will be taking you through that training. He's a walking encyclopedia on all this, on financial forecasting. And at the end of it, you can go through the training course for the qualification of certified practicing predictive. I keep on saying certified predictive accountant. Okay, so you can pay, or you can pay that monthly if you like, $1,056 inclusive of GST. So, Paul, if you've got anything else you want to add?
No. I think that pretty much sums it up, Peter. I think the important thing is that if you, the watcher of this webinar, are not providing those virtual CFO services to your clients, now's the time to have a look at it. And I'm happy to do a free one-on-one to evaluate the services that you've got in your firm and what you'd like to do. And Peter would do the same, I'm sure. But this package, this financial services package, is the real icing on the cake of all Peter's services and products that he's got to, and that of course includes this consortium of my company, Plan Guru, and ESS BIZTOOLS. So that's just that wrap up that I wanted to provide.
Thanks, Paul. So we have group training. I should have mentioned earlier. We've changed our group training around from tomorrow, 1st of May. But we have 4 product packages in ESS BIZTOOLS. We're going to present 10 training programs a year for each of those programs, so 40 of them. You can go to any one of those when it's too difficult to control. We're just going to have people turn up. And that's all part of the subscription. But if you want to have one-on-one or one on your team, which is normally how it works, training on specific issues, and you can nominate what they are. It might be early stage innovation company. It might be how the research and development system works. It might be a real in-depth dive with Paul on looking at crowdsourced funding. Looking at predictive accounting. Our charge for that is $300 plus GST. So we can organize that for you. All you need is to contact us. Now, to subscribe for this package, please go to www.essbiztools.com.au, click on packages and pricing, and then click on the product package that you've selected to subscribe for. And we will then be in contact with you within 24 hours and setting you up with the access to the material. If you need any more information, I haven't put Paul's details on this, but he can tell you in a minute. You can contact me, Peter at essbiztools.com.au, or send us an email. Or Paul, if anyone wants to contact you, do you want to call out your phone number and email address? Thanks.
Certainly, it's not on a slide, but certainly Paul at beyondaccountingtechnologies.com. That's an easy one to remember. And my mobile's the best for you to contact me, 0411 214471.
Okay, so Paul is Paul at beyondaccountingtechnologies.com.au and
no .com.
Oh, .com, no AU.
Yep, no.
So that's Paul at advancedtechnology.com.
Beyondaccountingtechnologies.com.
Oh, yeah. It's getting late in the night, isn't it?
It is.
And the phone number was 0411 211 471. So thank you very much. if obviously you'll be watching this at some later date and you want to make contact with us, please do so. We are both committed to supplying a range of outstanding resources
Yep.
to accounting firms and bookkeeping firms. And incidentally,
Yep.
we have some bookkeepers who are subscribers to this package. Don't hesitate to contact us, because we're committed to giving you the resources that you can really deliver financial advisory services to your clients. So thank you very much. Paul, thank you very much for being with us in this presentation.
It's a great pleasure, Peter. I was just going to use the words, if you do subscribe to this service, it will be a game changer in modern terminology, a complete game change for your firm, and you will not look back. And what's more, you'll have fun.
Yes, and will help keep you ahead of your competitors and will allow you to really distinguish yourself. I've had an interesting
Absolutely.
webinar today with a gentleman, and I'm going to share that with our people who listen to our webinars in the next few weeks. Some of the concepts that were advanced as to just where accountancy's headed, and that will create a few scares, I think, as to that particular person's analysis. And he's a very experienced person.
Please
Okay,
send me the
so
link.
yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. We'll talk to you, I hope, very soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Paul. We'll talk to you later on tonight.
Thank you. Cheers now.